Welcome back to Two Rad Dads. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sean.
And we are back from an extended hiatus.
Yes, we are. About time.
Yeah, we didn't intend to take time off, but you know, when between our three kids in hockey and yours in bowling, we don't have time to breathe or eat or see our kids or spouses because we're always on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, so now that hockey season has officially come to an end, and now baseball and softball season is kicking out, but that's a little easier because the fields are much closer to my house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully we can get back in a rhythm here.
Yeah, so was there anything else that you had done, or I'm trying to think of anything else I had done that was awesome during our hiatus?
Since we last recorded?
Yeah, so we're going back, 6 months now since we last recorded? But
I mean, legitimately, right? Like, we had that little holiday episode, little recap, but that hardly counts.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a while since a proper full episode. That was November, probably.
Yeah,
like that.
End of October, early November.
Yeah, it's basically been 6 months. Yeah, so inexcusable. It
is. Yeah, we apologize, fans. You expect more from us, and we'll try and do better.
A lot of people ask, like, when are you guys gonna record again? And I'm like, oh, I know, we gotta do it.
Yeah, it's big with people at my work. I go into meetings all the time, and I'm like, are you the podcaster? And I'm like, yes, that's me.
Well, I was 6 months ago.
Yeah, I'm like, we haven't recorded. Like, my tail's between my legs. So I don't think we're going to push for as hard as a pace as we did when we started. We're trying to do one every week.
Yeah, I think that was part of the problem.
Yeah, that's a little too much. We may record multiple times in a week or two, whatever, but we're going to release them probably bi-weekly. Just so that way there gives us more time to record and do all the editing and
all that. I feel like that's much more sustainable. We can actually meet that goal. Trying to do it every week was really, really difficult. Maybe we've got a week where we can record a couple but not edit, or vice versa, and we can kind of get some in the can, as they say, and kind of have it all lined up a week ahead.
Yeah, so that way you fans can get a steady stream of the radness that we provide. So
yeah, we had some really cool ideas too for some episodes coming up. You had a pretty good idea set up for March that March is over, so
yeah,
we're gonna put a pin in that till next March,
but that's for another day. So besides all the sports and stuff that we had going on, we had quite an adventure ourselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we went to the NHL Stadium Series in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, hit the road. Yeah, a little overnight drive from Maine to Ohio. Yep. Not too bad, about 13 hours.
Yeah, did a road trip. It was fun. It was us, our oldest kids, and a tag along friend. Yeah, so it was 2 dads and 3 kids.
And 3 kids, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
he's an old kid too, so it fits. Yeah,
it was fun. The drive's a little long, but we had 3 drivers, so it wasn't bad. The kids slept most of the time.
Yeah, we had a good time. Yeah, it was a great weekend. We hit a few key spots. Had some fun, still golfing, and went to the cheese barn.
Oh, the cheese barn. Shout out to Grandpa's Cheese Barn. Little plug.
That's right.
They are amazing. Right. If you haven't been, you got to stop and say hi. Tell them the 2 Rad Dads sent you.
Right up the interstate. Ashland, Ohio. It's got the two Rad Dads stamp of approval.
Yep.
We did a little Top Golf. We hit some restaurant, the R Bar downtown by the hockey rink. We hit that.
Yeah.
And the Stadium Series game was great. You know, Ohio State was a lot of fun.
The weather was absolutely crazy.
It was so cold.
Well, Friday before the game.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing the sightseeing, and we've been to Columbus a bunch of times. Mark, our friend that came with us, the third child, he lived there for a while, so he knew a lot of people and knows the area and all that stuff. And we visited him a bunch of times when he lived out there. But it was like 60 degrees, 65 degrees. It was awesome. We were in t-shirts and, you know, doing everything. It was awesome. And then the next day comes with the game, and it's what was it? 30 degrees at puck drop.
But that was without the wind. With the wind, it was much, much colder. Yeah. And we were pretty high up because we were in the giant football stadium. So we had the height to deal with it. It was so windy up there. It was absolutely frigid. And we're from New England. Like, we're used to winter and cold and all that stuff. We were bundled up. We have the right gear. We were cold.
Yes.
But it was worth it. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
And I would totally do it all over again. But yeah, it was a lot colder than I expected it to be. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter that came with us absolutely loved it. She never really did anything like that before. And the game was at the Ohio State Horseshoe. So we got to see the campus, and she's big into softball. So she absolutely loved seeing, you know, their facilities. And now she wants to go to the Ohio State.
Well, we don't really have anything like that by us, you know, anything on that scale.
No, even when you head down to the Boston area and stuff like that,
it's more
nothing
urban.
like that.
Correct. There's a ton of schools, but they're very, very different. You don't have a giant sprawling campus like that. You've got a lot of city buildings.
Yeah, you're not walking a mile past the baseball stadium, the softball stadium, the soccer stadium, the football stadium, all unbelievable facilities. In this area, you know, you're lucky if you have one or two. And then the others are shared between either different sports or even different schools, or you're traveling 20 minutes to a half hour to get to it.
Yeah, it's just everything's more congested. It's an older area. It was thickly settled before. So, you know, you just didn't have the room to develop in the same fashion as they did in the Midwest and out West, but it's all good.
Yeah, so we've been to several of these outdoor stadium games. And I think we're looking to go to Tampa next year, right? Is that where we're looking to go?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely gonna make that happen.
Yeah, we planned on doing a recording on the road trip, but it just didn't.
We actually did a recording.
It was a quasi recording.
We did half of one and then checked it, and it sounded horrible.
Yeah.
So we said, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah, it's tough to do in the car. If we do a road trip to Tampa, I don't know if we're flying or if we're gonna drive down next year. But if we do a road trip, I'll make sure to get some new mics and stuff, and
we'll
be
a
little more prepared than we were this time.
We had so much time to kill in the car; it would have been great.
Yeah,
but alas. But yeah, it was a good time.
So this weekend, I decided to start cleaning out my utility room. And boy, did I find a treasure trove of stuff.
I'm sure. I've seen the room.
Yeah.
I've never really been able to step foot in the room, but I've seen it.
Yeah. No, packed. My wife gets mad at me all the time.
It kind of looks like the end of the Indiana Jones, you know?
Yeah. So I have like 12 totes, 40-gallon totes full of epicness. You know, there's stuff that, you know, is like stuff from school growing up. You know, my parents kept, and I have a tote of all my bunch of college stuff, which I don't know why I kept my papers and stuff like that. I'll have to go through and I'll clean this stuff out. But I found all my old video game consoles. So, my NESs, my Sega Genesis. I think I have 2 of each. My Xbox 360s, I think I have like 3 or 4 of those because they kept dying. And then I found the tote of games, which I thought I had more games than I had in that tote, but
right.
I don't know if my brothers have some or whatever. I'm still going through stuff too, so I could still find them. But and then I found all my hockey jerseys. But yeah, so as I was cleaning up, I came across this wonderful collection I have of Pogs. The great game. Do you remember Pogs?
Of course I do.
Oh man,
milk caps.
Yeah. So I was going through, and I have a ton of generic ones, but I found that I had some from Country Kitchen.
Did you find a tube?
Yeah, I have the tube full. I have a couple tubes.
The big plastic tube that you pop the top open and dump them out.
Yeah, but I found some from Country Kitchen. They're a local bread maker that totally forgot about this. They would put them in the loaves of bread or on the outside package.
Were everywhere.
And do that. And then, like cereal boxes. And I have one from Kennedy Lake Park, which is a theme park in New Hampshire. And it's like crazy. I forgot how big these were.
At its peak.
Yeah.
They were huge at its peak. And they were a huge marketing item. So yeah, they were in all kinds of products. Everywhere you'd go, you'd go and see a table for something promoting a product or a business, and instead, now you get like a little pen or something with a logo on. Everybody had Pogs. They were in products, like you said, and the bread loaf and stuff. But yeah, they were everywhere. They were so cheap, right? It's literally just a little piece of paper cardboard.
Yeah.
So it was an easy thing for companies to print up. You'd go to an event and they'd be like a live radio station broadcasting. They'd be handing out Pogs, They were everywhere.
Yeah, I remember where I actually got most of mine. There's a local salvage and discount store here in Maine. They have a ton of locations now called Martin's. Shout out to Martin's. Love you guys. I was just there today.
A lot of shout outs today.
Yes,
we hit the Cheese Barn. We got Martin's.
Yeah. We're trying to get some sponsors.
There we go.
But yeah, they had an ad in the paper that they were getting Pogs. And I remember it being on the radio and stuff like that. And they had like buckets, like trash cans full of Pogs. And we got there when they were just getting ready to put them out, and they like dumped them out onto this like table. And like there's just like people pushing and shoving and fights over these cardboard discs.
The mob scene.
Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. And like I was able to get in and grab a handful or whatever. And
yeah, I remember the stores where I was. They were they would sell out constantly. They'd get more, and it was like a big deal. You'd hear it at school. Yep. Oh yeah, it's Wednesday. They're getting new ones today or whatever. And you'd go, and like they were really cheap. So kids like us could actually afford to buy them. I remember there was packs that you could buy, right? That were just random. And then there were all kinds of them that were like generics that you could just buy. What are they, like 10 cents each or something like that? I remember they were really cheap.
Yep.
And obviously then you had all the ones once it became popular that were licensed, right? You had all the movies and TV shows and characters and things that started to make their own product line. And those ones you'd have to pay a lot more for.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you'd get to school, right, during recess, and you start playing them, and you didn't just, play just to play. No, you had to play for keeps.
Well, let's just say we got to explain the game, right? Because there was an actual game that you played with these things. So they weren't just a collectible. It was kind of like Pokemon cards, right? You can collect them as a card, but yet there's also a game you can play. Kind of like that. Where you've got the actual collectible Pogs that are just fun to look at and have, but at the same time, you could actually play against your classmates, which was great. And given that they were so cheap, everybody did it, right? everybody did it.
Yep.
So what would you? I'm trying to remember the exact rules, but
So
from what I remember,
basically
you make a stack.
Yeah. So the cheap cardboard ones, or your collectible ones, whichever ones you want to play, the little cardboard ones, you would put in a stack upside down.
I think, didn't everybody have to put in like an equal number or something?
Well, it depends.
Like,
there's ways you can do, shuffle them up and then you make one big stack, or each person has their own stack. So there's some variance. But
yeah,
essentially you do a stack and they're all upside down. So they're all face down. And then you take your slammer.
Ah, the slammer.
Everyone, that was the piece that everyone had their special. So the slammer is
that was the expensive portion, right? Because like the Pogs themselves were
actually not bad. So I'm looking at mine. Mine still have the Martin stickers on them. My slammers, two for $1. So they were 50 cents.
There was a lot of fancy. But there was a lot of fancy slammers out there with different like jagged edges and designs, and they were all like designed to, be more effective, supposedly. Of course, it like dented the Pogs. It was like metal. Sure, it was all just hype.
Yeah, so if Martin's was selling them for $2 for $1, so 50 cents each, they're probably, $1 to $2.
Retail. But I remember there was some that were even more than that, like fancy metallic ones with crazy ridges and edges.
And I also have some from the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta.
Ooh, Atlanta.
I think these came out of cereal boxes.
Probably like a Wheaties box or something.
Yeah, so it has I didn't eat Wheaties, so it wasn't out of Wheaties.
All right, fine.
But on the back, it has the USA Olympic logo. And then on the other side, it has the logo of all the different sports. So, and they're not that heavy too. They're cheap. Obviously they came out of a cereal box, but
they're kind of like, what are they? Like the size of like a $50, somewhere around there. They're much bigger than a quarter, but they're not huge,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the cardboard Pogs are about $50, and then these
like
are
the silver dollar.
Probably the silver dollars. So then you take your slammer and then you like spike the stack of the upside down Pogs, and then any that would flip over face up, you would keep.
Right.
So the goal of the game was whichever player had the most Pogs at the end wins. And if you're playing,
I think you like go back and forth, taking turns, throwing the slam or your own slammer, and then whatever flips over you take, and then the next person throws, and whatever's left, it just keeps going until there's nothing left.
Yep. And then whoever has the most wins. And if you're playing for keeps, whatever you flipped over, you keep. And then that's where the fights would start, because if you accidentally put in one of your favorites and you lost it, and then some kids would even lose their entire collection. They wouldn't win anything and then go home empty handed, and then parents were getting mad, and it turned into a big thing. And then a lot of schools,
then they call the school, the principal's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So
so
inevitably
the schools banned.
They got banned in most places. It was gambling is what they told us. We were gambling, and they're not allowed to do that at school. So of course nowadays gambling's legal everywhere. So
yeah, they do a lot worse with
it all over the place.
Yeah, these kids in junior high or whatever doing the March Madness brackets and all that stuff, Super Bowl squares. But
that was the reason given anyway. But I mean, I kind of got it. Like, I remember there was always those kids who got screwed, and then I imagine their parents are pretty pissed when they come home empty-handed, or the kids, like you said, who didn't think through and they put in all of their Pogs and not just the crappy ones, right? Like, that's what I would do. I'd have the ones that I wanted to keep, and I'd be like, well, I'm not playing with these ones. I'm going to keep these. I had a separate tube. I don't know about you. I had two tubes.
Yep.
One tube.
That's what I got.
Was the good ones that I wanted to keep. They were like my collectible ones.
I like how I keep showing the camera like everyone can
generic,
see.
I know you. Yeah, I can see. They can't, but it helps me. I appreciate the visual aid. So, and then the other tube is what I had all the commons in, right? Like the generics, the commons. And I remember there was a lot of themes to these. There was a lot of similar themes. I mean, in that I remember there was a lot of yin yangs. Um, there were a
Yep.
lot of yin yangs. There was a lot of 8 balls for some reason. Do you remember that? There was always
Yes. Yeah.
8 balls.
I have several 8
There's
balls.
like 35 different designs of the 8 ball. I don't
Yep.
understand why, but okay. Yeah, there was
a
all
lot
kinds of weird ones.
Skulls was a big one.
Skulls, yeah, skulls were popular.
Pigs.
I want to say like lightning.
Yeah.
There was always spiders. I remember a lot of spiders.
Yeah, a lot of weird things. It kind of like, Garbage Pail Kid kind of stuff. It seemed like.
Yeah.
She just off the wall.
A lot of like there was a lot of them that had cartoon type images on them. Like they almost look like comic strip from the Sunday paper, like the funnies. Kind of like that, but of nothing and of no character that you've ever seen before. Just a generic cartoonish drawing of something. Could be a dog, could be a guy holding a newspaper. They were of absolutely nothing or anything. But yeah, those are the crappy ones that I was fine playing with those, because if I lost those, I was like, whatever, no big deal. Yeah, but those licensed ones, those expensive ones, oh hell no.
Yeah, because you had everything from the Beatles to Pokemon.
Yep.
To
you found a Goosebumps.
Yeah,
right?
Goosebumps. You have a stack of Goosebumps here.
There were Simpsons ones, I remember.
Yeah, Disney had theirs.
Yep. I remember Batman, because I remember there was a fancy Batman slammer that it was shaped in black like the Bat logo. That was a fancy one. Yep. I remember Jurassic Park was big at the time. They had some Pogs.
Yeah, Looney Tunes, Garfield.
Oh, Looney Tunes.
Just about anything. Anything at the time. Any movie that came out had, their own lineup.
For sure. All the sports leagues and teams ended up coming out with those too. Like, it was one of those things that once it hit, it was everywhere.
Except probably the NHL. They didn't have theirs because they missed the boat on all the good marketing stuff.
Oh no, they definitely did it, but they just did it late. That's how they work with a lot of things. It just came once everyone was done with it.
Yeah, but it was fun. I hated losing mine, so I actually initialed most of mine. So there I would know which ones were mine, and people wouldn't want to keep them if it had writing on them.
We're just playing for fun. Just playing for fun. Yeah. Oh, Power Rangers, they were big on them. I remember that. Yeah, now I'm looking at pictures and I'm seeing some and I'm remembering, I remember that. Like Michael Jordan and, random things. They were fun though. And it was kind of like, what I liked about it was that it was accessible. It was such a low barrier to entry that literally anyone could pick it up. It wasn't one of those fads where, oh geez, like it's an expensive thing you have to buy, or it's a certain type of clothing you have to buy. It was just, these things are like a dime. You could just literally find pocket change and pick these up.
Like another fad at the time was, the Beanie Babies, right? That got expensive really quick because, they were
for sure,
$10, $20 sometimes or more. Where these, like 10 cents, you could buy them.
And funny enough, much like the Beanie Babies, people thought they could collect these and make a lot of money someday. Yeah. I mean, they're sorely mistaken, but the thought was there.
I don't know. I think they're worth a penny more than they were if they're in good condition.
Maybe. We're just not going to factor inflation in on that at all.
Yeah. And, when you're talking 10 cents and now they're 11 cents, that's not bad.
Yep.
But
it was fun though.
And
I guess they're kind of making a comeback now.
Are they?
This is kind of what I've heard, is that I don't want to say they're making a comeback. I guess that's probably an exaggeration, but because there's such a recent push right now for a lot of things from the 90s, right? That I guess this is one of the things that somebody was starting to make, and I'll have to look up who it was. I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I did not realize it was an actual Pog mascot.
Neither did I. And then we looked it up, and now it's going to be in my dreams tonight.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a good way.
Creepy mascot. So
he's called Pogman. He's a caveman-ish cartoon with nasty teeth. It reminds me of the Whammies. Press Your Luck.
Yes. Thank you.
Kind of what it
I
reminds
was
me of.
wondering what it was, and yes.
Yeah, like it's he's this hairy, he looks like a raisin with legs. Like I don't understand what he is. I know it's supposed to be a caveman, but it's bad. Even for 90s, it's bad. I'm not sure who that appealed to. I guess it's good that we grew up with this thing and we don't remember the mascot. So
Well,
I guess that shows that it didn't really take off.
I remember seeing it, but I didn't know it was the official mascot. I just thought it was the weird designs on the Pogs.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Because I think you're right. I think I kind of remember seeing it like on packaging and stuff. But
yeah, I'm looking at pictures of him, and there's these 3D renderings of him coming up, and they are so creepier than the cartoon.
Oh yeah, yep. Oh, somebody made a stuffed animal out of him.
Oh yeah,
God.
he had action figures and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's more of an orange than a brown, I guess, as I'm looking, and he has a big purple nose, kind of a Muppet style nose, and eyes.
He's very Muppetish.
Yeah, and gigantic teeth, and he has no torso.
He's a cross between Animal from the Muppets and the Whammy.
It's troubling. Yeah, it's kind of nightmare fuel. But
hey, whatever. It worked for them.
It did.
Great marketing. And it wasn't he the mascot of the drink? Because Pog is a drink.
Correct. I mean, I guess we could look at the history, right? Milk caps technically is what these things were called. And Pog was the biggest brand name. It's kind of the Kleenex to tissue.
Well, to step back. So there was the Japanese game Menko, I think is what it was called, where you stack your cards and you throw a card and you flip it and you keep whatever cards flip over. And then milk caps became big in Hawaii.
Right? Which makes sense because there's a lot of Asian influence in Hawaii, so that makes a lot of sense.
When it started going nationwide, then the drink company Pog started branding their caps with the mascot and other marketing materials. And then that's just where it started taking off, where they, instead of using blank milk caps, were looking for the Pog drink caps. And because it had the fun designs and all that stuff. And then everyone just started mass producing all the cardboard discs.
Yeah, basically he saw the game was becoming popular and decided, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, I see an opportunity here. So the Pog brand actually predates the game becoming popular in the 90s. And the game actually originated in the 20s and 30s from what I read. So it's actually quite old. And when we played it in the 90s, it was already a revival.
Yeah.
So if we can revive that again, we can resurrect it, that'd be great. Bring it right back around because it's over 100 years old at this point.
Maybe we could do it with old CDs.
Oh yeah, we'll play a giant game. Start slamming CDs down. All those AOL discs from back in the day. Yeah, those AOL CDs.
Dude, those would just shatter now, but
yeah. So POG stands for what, Matt?
Passion fruit, orange, and grape.
Guava.
Yes.
Guava. So yeah, that's all it is. Pog was just a blend of passion fruit, orange, and guava juice, which, by the way, is delicious if you've never tried it. So
I've never had it. I didn't even know it was a drink. So.
It's quite good. Yep. And pro tip, they actually sell it in Florida too. You can get it at Disney World. So there you go. Yeah, you can get it there at the Polynesian. It's good stuff. If you get breakfast there somewhere, they have it. So next year we go to Tampa.
We'll swing by
take
Orlando.
A road trip to Orlando, a few hours away. Sit in 9 hours of I-4 traffic, and then go have breakfast, and then fly home. It'll be great.
I'll report back.
Bring our Pogs to breakfast table and start flaming them around.
So when we did our Florida trip a few years ago. Why didn't you inform me of this?
Because we weren't talking about Pogs.
We weren't rad at the time.
No, we really weren't.
We're the quarantine dads.
Yeah. True. An interesting time. We were all wearing masks and hanging out. But we rented a house for nothing.
Oh, it was awesome. That was a great trip.
That's what was,
best vacation ever.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Until the stroller was stolen on the last day.
Well,
Bummer, but Pogs.
Pogs.
I'll have to try that drink next time I'm down there. I didn't. Yeah. Honestly, like
I'm sure they sell it elsewhere too. It's just that's just one place that I know sells it, but I'm sure it's available.
Yeah, like
many places.
I vaguely remember hearing something. It was a drink, but I thought it was like an old expired, like discontinued drink. I didn't realize it was still a thing.
Yeah, it's produced by Meadow Gold Dairy, a subsidiary of Dean Foods. Yeah, blends of passion fruit, orange, and guava juices. It's also produced by other companies. So again, there's the brand that started it, but then obviously, much like anything else, right? Like orange juice, well, it's made by more than one company. So yeah, it's not like the juice of those fruit is proprietary, so somebody else is going to whip up their own blend.
Yeah,
so
Target sells.
So to be fair, now I don't know if I've actually had this brand of juice, but I have had a type of Pog juice, and it's quite good. So now that we got that out of the way.
Yeah, apparently Target sells some. I'll have to try it. It's not the official, but
give that a try.
I will.
Unfortunately, you're not going to get it with a milk cap attached. So that's a bummer. But
maybe after they hear this episode, they'll start doing it with the Disney Pogs again.
Well, what's funny is like I always wondered when I was a kid because we had heard when we were kids like, oh yeah, it comes from milk caps, whatever else. But I always was like, well, why does Pog come from a juice if the game's milk caps? Because it's milk and not juice. But now I kind of understand it. So it's actually a dairy that just also sells juice. I don't know why I didn't put that together
like
at the time. But
you get apple juice or apple cider that comes in the milk jugs.
Yeah.
So it's all the same type of just press on cap.
Type of packaging. Yeah, it's just the same type of packaging. That makes sense. The Haleakala Dairy in Maui. They're the ones that revived it in the late 80s. So they released caps as promotional freebies for the Pog juice. And that's kind of where that came from because they said Pog on them.
Yep.
So as it spread, that's just what people started calling them. So it peaked in the mid 90s and faded pretty much as quickly as it started.
Yeah, once the school started banning it, it kind of went by the wayside pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what came right after. Like, what did we start doing instead? I don't know. But it was probably something else that swept up. I don't know if that's when Beanie Babies came in. That's probably it. I bet this ended and that started.
Yeah.
They probably overlapped slightly. Yeah. Maybe a new video game system came out, something.
Well, yeah, because, mid-late 90s, that's when the PlayStation came out. Was it 96 PlayStation came out?
That's about right.
And then computer games too. You had the internet coming. You had the tech boom. Yeah.
I mean, little fun fact for you. I don't have a full slate of Sean's fun facts this week, but I got a little tidbit. When it was at its peak in 94, 95, they were in such high demand, the estimated sales were roughly $10 million a week for these little pieces of cardboard with pictures on them. So $10 million a week for a couple of years. So the companies did a great job to milk all they could out of it. I mean, what would Two Rad Dads be without a dad joke here and there? But yeah, they certainly did.
Well, you figure I have some from bread packaging.
Mm-hmm.
I have some from cereal boxes.
Right.
So, they were just everywhere, and I mean, cheap to put on, right?
Blockbuster was another one. They'd give you a Pog when you rented a video. McDonald's had them in the Happy Meals. I mean,
Yeah.
really, they were. When we say they were everywhere, they were everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it was fun while it lasted.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to find mine. I'm jealous now that Matt found his old collection. I'm gonna have to find mine. I started looking, but haven't found him yet. But I'm gonna find him, and we are gonna play.
Yes, we
and
are.
We're playing for keeps.
No. No, we are not.
All right, fine. Actually, I probably wouldn't even be mad at this point if I lost. It's like whatever.
I would at this point. I've had them this long. They've been with me for 30 years now. Like, no, they're a part of me. That's why I don't let my wife throw them out.
They can legally drink.
They can. They can rent a car too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that was good stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get some pictures, maybe a little video clip of us slamming a slammer down on a stack of Pogs,
and actually put something on our Instagram.
We
keep talking about all this stuff going on Instagram, and
then we always forget
we're Rad Dads, but we're not social media people.
Yeah, so. We're really not. We're not good at social media.
Nope, not.
We are a couple of guys in our 40s. That's not in our wheelhouse. We're capable of posting something, but we don't have that inclination to do it as often as we probably should.
Yeah. And then when we say we're going to post stuff, like, we legitimately mean it, and we start gathering the stuff, but then we just get sidetracked.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so we're still learning. We're still trying to find our way, and we appreciate the feedback that everyone's been giving us on what they like and don't like. Keep it coming. We're just having a fun with this anyway, so we're not taking ourselves too seriously.
It's a good thing we're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
I just like getting the logo on all kinds of stuff. That's my favorite part.
Matt's just in it for the merch.
I am. I'm a merch guy, which you guys found out when we went to the Stadium Series. Like, merch gets me.
Oh my God. No kidding. So before the game started, we all hit one of the merch booths outside, and we all bought a few things to commemorate the occasion. Some good stuff. If it's an outdoor game, like a sweatshirt's appropriate, winter hat, things like that. Matt bought a bunch of stuff outside, and then brought it all to the car, and then we went in the game, and he promptly went to the merch booth in the stadium, which had all the same stuff.
No, it did not.
And then
there was some different stuff there.
I don't know. And then he bought another armful.
Yeah, I got the jersey, another blanket,
jersey, a sweatshirt.
Because that sweatshirt I did not see outside.
Hat. Yeah.
But good times. It was all good fun. I wear the stuff, I use the stuff. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Keep the feedback coming. Send us an email at tworaddads@outlook.com. Find us on Instagram or Facebook at tworaddads. And we have the text line.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you just click the link in the show description on your podcast app of choice, and it'll send a message right to us, which is cool.
So keep the feedback coming. Topics, what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see you every other week.
Yep.
And keep joining us and listening and telling your friends, all that fun stuff. We're everywhere that you listen to your favorite podcasts. So until next time,
stay rad.
Here's my root beer wagon.
Ooh, root beer wagon. Where does the root beer wagon come from? That's so random.
Yeah, these are all like just generic.
Huh. I really want to find mine now. Damn it. I'm going to play.